Oh, oh, alright. We should be live. And my sunburn is incredibly noticeable on the stream now that I see that. Because who forgot their umbrella on day one of Comiket? This guy. So I was sitting out on the asphalt in the incredibly 107 Fahrenheit heat index. It was like upper 90s with a heat index of like 107 whenever I checked. And it was incredibly hot. And you're talking about like over 100,000 people in one spot, well, like in one area, waiting to get into Comiket and just out there frying in the sun on the asphalt for like 2-3 hours. And I decided that that was going to be the day that I forget my umbrella. I've been taking it with me like every other day. I've had my umbrella with me basically this whole time, but for whatever reason, Sunday I forgot my umbrella. So now I gotta live with those consequences. Yeah, day one of Comiket was good. Had to refigure everything back out. It's quite a bit different than what it was pre-pandemic. Comiket's definitely changed quite a bit with how it's operated, where you go into it from, and just the whole operation itself is like pretty different than what it was pre-pandemic. Other than just you actually have to pay to get in now. You have to buy like armbands, wristbands. Where is my day one pass? I don't actually know where it is. I have it somewhere. But yeah, we did day one at Comiket Sunday, and then today is Monday. It is almost 7 o'clock. Almost 7 o'clock Monday. And we went back to Comiket today, but this time I did not forget my umbrella, thankfully. Thank God for that. Because by the time I realized that I'd forgotten my umbrella, it's like I was not about to come back to the hotel because it takes an hour transit to get from Shinjuku to Odaiba. It's only like 7 miles, but it takes you an hour to get there. So, yeah, public transport isn't always the best, but yeah, it does. But anyway, we have the day 2 wristband. I don't know where day 1 is. I have it in here somewhere. I know I didn't throw it away. Oh, there it is. We also have the day 1 wristband for Comiket. First time going to Comiket since 2019. Was pretty excited to go back to that. Bought a lot of dojin. So many dojin. I was wanting to film a video as like the hentai guy for it, because I don't think I've uploaded to that channel in probably like a decade at this point. Turn off that TV because it's making racket. Yeah, I was planning to do something as like the hentai guy, but it's like the shirt that the hentai guy shirt. I did bring it with me, but it wasn't like clean, and I didn't feel like doing laundry today before I went, so didn't do any videoing while I was there, but I did take some photos while I was at Comiket. And then when did I get back to the room? It's almost 7 o'clock, so I probably got back around 5 o'clock-ish, because I also took a bath when I got back and relaxed a bit before I went out for dinner, and I just got back from dinner. Crap, where are those things? I can tell you maybe what I had for dinner. That's just a Nama. Well, I had a beer, obviously. Nama Jonki. Jonki? I thought it was just Asahi beer. It was just like an Asahi beer. Oroshi. Yeah, I have no idea what this was. I have no idea what that dish was. I've never eaten anything like that before, but I ate it. It was fine. It was like rice. I believe it was pork, like onions, green onions, some type of sauce on it. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It wasn't my favorite thing by far. It wasn't no ramen or curry. It's like I'm really partial to curry because I really love Japanese style curry. Or the curry that they serve here is really good. So dropped by the store and got a bunch of snacks. because yesterday I only ate like one time because I was so exhausted whenever I got back. I did not feel like going back out for the day. And I only ate, like, what did I eat? I ate something yesterday. And I only ate like one time. So it's like I was incredibly malnourished going into Comiket day 2. We have some alcoholic drinks. We have just a lemon flavored like seltzer, basically. We also have my favorite Japanese uh, alcoholic beverage, Calpis Sour. Love these things. Not all the stores carry them, unfortunately, so we're not able to get them all the time. I wish I was. Whenever I was staying in Ueno last time, I dropped by like all the stores there. I don't think any of them have it had it. Like none of the 7-Elevens, none of the Family Marts, none of the Lawsons. It was strange. I don't know if they was just out of season or if they wasn't carrying them at the time. I don't know what it was whenever I was here in May, but these was actually really hard to find last May. Well, this recent May. Um, so yeah, thankfully the 7-Eleven like down the road from my hotel in Shinjuku carries these and keeps them in stock, and it's my favorite drink. So, well, favorite alcoholic drink. My favorite Japanese drink is probably Pocari Sweat. Those are so good, so good. I wish, like, I tried to bring one back with me last November, I think, but unfortunately, like TSA made me throw it away whenever I got back to the States. Because you had to like leave security and go back in security through O'Hare Airport, and I hate that airport so much. Everyone in there is always rude. It's horrible getting through it. There's not a lot of things in there for whenever you have a layover. It's no. O'Hare Airport in Chicago is like probably the worst airport that I've been in. It's so horrible there. The people, the employees, the TSA's worse than usual. TSA is always horrible, but well, except in Japan, it's like Japan security, Japan airports, like all of those are like the best airports ever. But yeah, I didn't get around to streaming yesterday because I was so exhausted when I got back, and I needed to get at least 5 or 6 hours of sleep before today. Because yesterday I did came back to the hotel, barely had enough time to get a shower and get dressed again. And I had to go out on a date, went out and hooked up, hung out with her a while, and then made it back to the hotel and relaxed a little bit more and finally got a little bit of sleep before I had to wake up today. And we woke up today, and basically as soon as I woke up, got a shower right away and had to head off for Comiket and bake in the sun some more. And yeah, it's been a crazy trip. It's like I really should have bought some sunblock while I've been here for sure. Because I went to the ocean, went to Kamakura, went to the ocean. First time going to the ocean while I've been in Japan. Did swimming down there. Then I got a little bit of sunburn there, not too bad, but I really got fried yesterday at Comiket because I forgot my umbrella because I'm an idiot. Didn't forget it today, but yesterday I didn't stay at Comiket too long. There wasn't. It's like the female-oriented day, so it was mostly a lot of yaoi and stuff like that. A lot of the artists that I wanted to buy stuff from wasn't there yesterday because every day at Comiket, like there's new circles, new dojin, new artists. There's different people there every day. So there wasn't a lot yesterday. I still got a stack. I cannot show the cover. I'm gonna have to do this very carefully, but this is the stack of dojin that I got for Sunday. So not a whole lot. Definitely need to cover those up. Hopefully they're not shown on the stream because that would be pretty bad. Let's cover it with this. Because those are like hentai and stuff. But this is the main day. This is Saturday's haul right here. So we got pretty hefty haul, and somehow I'm gonna have to fit all that in my luggage with everything else that I got. So, we're Dojin. They vary. Um, you can get them for like as low as like 300-400 yen, all the way up to 1,000-1,500 yen. It just depends on the artist, how much demand they have, if it's full color. Um, there's a whole lot of variables that go into play with Dojin. But yeah, the average range is around 500 to 1,000 yen, so they're not too bad. But I spent a lot of money today. I actually ran out. I wasn't expecting to run out of like cash yen on me, but I ran out and I had to go to a 7-Eleven and withdraw another 50,000 yen, which is fine. It's that's within the budget that I allotted, and there's no way I'm going to spend the remaining yen that I have through the rest of the trip, and I'm going to be bringing back quite a bit of yen. And I went ahead and got 50,000 just in case. Unfortunately, Comiket, I wish it lasted longer, because they don't start letting people in until 11 a.m. is whenever they start allowing people in, and by like 3 p.m. they're wanting you to leave. So you do not have the most time to like really browse like deeply. It's basically impossible to see every table at Comiket within such a short time, because it is shoulder to shoulder the whole time, and you're walking slow quite a bit of the time, and it's really hard to get around. It's very hot. You have to leave the exhibition halls, like the East halls, to go get drinks. Otherwise, you will pass out from heat exhaustion. Comiket is war. It's war. I don't know where I got that saying from. I think it might have been from Genshiken, which is an anime that I really like. But it has probably the most accurate portrayal of what Comiket is like in the anime form. Genshiken and Genshiken 2. They're pretty accurate for what it's actually like, but it's intense. There have been people that have died at Comiket due to like heat strokes and heat exhaustion. Like even like today and yesterday, there was people that had to be wheelchaired off because they was passing out from like heat exhaustion and stuff. So it was pretty intense. Like Comiket's no joke. Like it's so hot just being in the line the whole time, and then even once you're in the building and out of the sun, it's so hot in those buildings. There's no AC in those buildings. It's basically giant warehouses with over 100,000 people. I don't know how many people attend anymore. I haven't looked at the attendance, but the attendance used to be, I believe, in 2019, which was like one of the last ones before the pandemic. I know the attendance is less now post-pandemic, but pre-pandemic, I believe the maximum attendance they got was like 500, 600,000 people over like 3-4 days. I think it was 4 days at that time. Now it's just down to 2 days, which kind of sucks. I wish it was at least like 3 or 4 days like it used to be. And I wish you actually got to be there longer to actually explore more, because you're basically you're in a rush the whole time you're there. You're trying to visit everyone on your list, because I have my list here. I got to meet some really cool mangaka while I was there. I got to meet the creator of Rent-A-Girlfriend. He was there. He had a table there this year. The creator of Kanojo mo Kanojo, which is Girlfriend. He was there. The artist of High School of the Dead was there. I bought from him. Bought from all three of those. Tex-Mex, which that's his like circle name, but the mangaka's name is Rei Hiroi, and he's the creator of Black Lagoon. He was there. I never came across his table. I don't know where he was, because he didn't put on Twitter like his location. Whenever I checked like yesterday or the day before, I didn't see his location of where he was, and I never ended up passing his table, so I'm not sure where he was, but he wasn't in the areas that I was at. Otherwise, I probably would have bought a Tojin from him, even though I think he did he either did a dojin for like a VTuber or he got a gotcha game, and those are the areas that I don't really hang out at. Hmm. Yeah, there's a map. There's a map of Comiket. Here's the one they give you whenever you uh, go there. It has the genres by day and by hall. They didn't do this previously whenever I've come to Comiket, having like everything in English and Japanese, and Chinese and Korean. But they do it on all four of those languages now. But yeah, there's a map of the halls. Oh yeah, it's a very big event. Comiket basically laughs at New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con. Those are like small compared to Comiket. Here is Hall 7, which this is where the creator of Kanojo Mo Kanojo was. He's actually the only one I had listed from Hall 7. Hall 7, there's not a lot there that I wanted to go to. But the main halls that I wanted to go to was halls 1 and 4, some into 1 and 3. Basically, each one of these squares is numbered. Well, you're going to see it as like a rectangle. But there's a square. Each of these squares is a table, and the table has 2 artists at it. You have halls 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's also like 7 and 8. And those are just for like hentai artists, creators, cosplayers that are selling booklets and DVDs of their cosplays. Basically, these are all like vendors. This is the full map of Comiket. You have East Halls 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and those are like the main ones where all the like dojin are. And they're categorized off. Like the areas that I hung out today was mostly just E1 and E4. Those was like the original dojin and shonen anime dojin and stuff like that. And then you had Hall 7 and there's Hall 8, which I believe Hall 8 is mostly just the cosplay dressing rooms. Then you have the West Halls, which the West Halls are for corporate. Those are for what is it? It's like the industry panels that we have in America, where it's like Funimation and stuff, but instead it would be like Shueisha and like Japanese companies, like promoting and showing off stuff, giving away stuff and selling stuff. I never really go to the West Halls. I just hang out in the East Halls because that's where all the dojin are, and that's what I'm most interested in. But they have a lot of wall scrolls and stuff. They give out a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff you can buy in the West Halls as well, and like get previews for things. Yeah, Comiket, with its attendance and how big it is and how exhausting it is, yeah, it laughs at like any convention that you can think of that you've ever been to is kind of like dwarfed by the scale of what Comiket is and how insane it is. It's definitely rough. You basically leave a part of you. um, what's that? That was a big stack of books. How much did you have just for books? Well, the dojin here are quite a bit cheaper than your Artist Alley stuff you get in America. The Artist Alley stuff in America is like they value their stuff quite a bit, unfortunately. But yeah, honestly, I didn't even spend that much. Let's see here. I believe I took. Oh, what would I have taken? Maybe like 20,000. 25,000 yen is maybe around what I spent, which would be quite a bit less than $200. Honestly, I really didn't spend a lot. I I thought I took more than I did, but apparently I didn't have as much cash on hand as I thought I did. No, I spent more than that because I had another 10,000 yen. So it was like 350,000 yen, somewhere around there. 350 for, no, how much was it? I think I had 30,000, then another 5,000. I think I had, that may have been it. It was somewhere between like 35 and 40,000 yen is what I spent. Somewhere around there. I'm not sure exactly how much I spent at Comiket. Yeah, the creators here. I definitely enjoy coming to coming to Comiket more than the artist alleys, or at least the artist alleys at the conventions that I get to go to. Um, they don't sell anything that I find particularly interesting. Not even like the dealer rooms, because I don't buy like English anime anymore, and I stopped buying English manga a long time ago, and I'm not too interested in merchandise. So yeah, I don't really buy a whole lot at American anime conventions anymore. I'm thinking about going to AWA this year, Anime Week in Atlanta. I haven't been there in almost 10 years, so I might try to go to that. I'm planning on possibly going to that, and I might cosplay at that because I did cosplay at the last convention I went to was Anime BluesCon in Memphis. It's not a big convention. It's I think like less than 10,000 people, less than 10,000 attendance. So like not that big. It's not a small anime convention, but it's like lower medium size, I guess. Because it's definitely no like AWA or Anime NYC or New York Comic Con or anything. Which I think New York Comic Con, I think it surpassed San Diego as like the biggest pop culture, like anime, manga type, comic book, pop culture. Like, I believe it surpassed San Diego as like the biggest convention in like America. I think it did. I'm not fully sure on that, honestly. But if I go to Anime Week in Atlanta, that's going to take away from my budget for my trip, for my Japan trip in December or January. I'm really thinking about going at the end of December and spend New Year's in Tokyo. I'm really thinking about doing this. Um, I was actually pricing it today, and like right now, like if I once I get back to America and like work like a month or two, as long as the prices don't increase too much, I'll be able to buy like my Japan trip for December or January. Hopefully, end of December into January. Probably in like 2 or 3 months, because I priced it, and like to stay at the hotel that I'm in right now, I can stay in it again for like $2,100. So it's really not bad. Really not bad. Yeah, honestly, I don't like. I live a very frugal life whenever I'm in the states. I don't get out much. I don't do much. Basically, all I do whenever I'm in the states is I work, I work, and I work. That's all I do. I don't. There's not a lot of joy. There's not a lot of fun. There's not a lot of getting out. I drive to work. I drive home, and like one day a week. Sometimes just on the way back home from work, I'll buy my groceries for like a week or two, and I basically don't leave the house unless I'm working. Um, so yeah, I don't get out much. I go to conventions. I have my annual convention I go to that I have a streak going on at it. I've been to MTech every year since 2011, except for the 2 years during the pandemic. Whenever I got delayed, postponed, it didn't happen. But every year that MTech has happened since 2011, I've gone to that. Um, I've missed some blues cons. I've attended BluesCon since the third one onwards, but I've missed a few of them, I think. Um, but yeah, I don't really do anime conventions as much as I used to. I don't enjoy being around anime fans. Like American anime fans are kind of like the worst and very annoying. And Like that's my biggest complaint being here in Japan. It's like the worst part about Japan is the foreigners in Japan. Um, but yeah, I just don't really enjoy going to anime conventions. You figure out once you learn that like almost all of the voice actors aren't really anime fans. They just get into voice acting because they come from like doing stage plays. Got OBS disconnected. What in the world? I think that may have froze the stream, but hopefully we're back. But yeah, I don't really enjoy American anime conventions anymore. Maybe it's just I'm older now, and like the newer anime fans are kind of insufferable to me. Like they're so annoying, but I'm sure I was annoying whenever I was like a teenager and first learning about anime and getting into anime, like in my early teens. But even like the anime fans, like in my age group, I don't really like them either. It's like I'm a big anime fan, but I don't like anime fans. Uh, yeah, once you learn that like a lot of this American companies are like really garbage companies. They don't care about anime. They do horrible with the properties they have, and realize that a lot of the companies are really shitty. It's even worse once you like start learning Japanese, like I'm doing, and you realize basically anime and manga has always been heavily censored, and like they change a lot of stuff. Like one thing that I never realized until probably this year um, was how incredibly censored the Naruto English manga and anime are. They are incredibly censored, and they changed so much. Like it's a completely different series. It's way more mature series whenever you like read it in Japanese or watch it in Japanese. Even if you watch it in if you watch it in Japanese with English subtitles, those are still bad. So really, the only way you can get away from like horrible localizations, changes, and censorship is to learn Japanese and actually watch the stuff in Japanese and read the stuff in Japanese. It sucks, but that's really what you have to do, unfortunately. Because you start reading English manga, and then you learn that English manga in the West is horribly censored. They change a lot. And then you start watching anime, and you're like watching English anime whenever you first start. And you realize, oh God, it's like, it's not just for kids. Like, for kids is notorious for being horrible. Horrible adaptations, horrible localizations, horrible censorship. But you realize Funimation has been just as garbage. And I'm not just talking about like Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid, like Dragon Ball Z, like their flagship thing, the thing that put Funimation on the map, Dragon Ball Z, is almost a completely different series compared to if you watch it in Japanese, especially with like GT, Z. Oh, it's a completely different series. And you would think things would get better with time. Like you can almost kind of make excuses for like uh, anime in like the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, um, making so many changes to fit uh, into the English market, help it break in and stuff. But then you realize it's like they're still doing these things, like even now, like but yeah, even now it's like what was I watching recently? I was watching well, it's not recently. It's been a couple weeks because I haven't watched any recent anime in a couple weeks. But it's one of the current this season like slice of life rom com series, and it's just a really bad like subtitled version on Crunchyroll. And Crunchyroll's not even the worst. Crunchyroll's one of the honestly, it's horrible to say this because Crunchyroll's a horrible company. They have horrible people that run the company, horrible localizers and stuff. But they're probably the best out of the bunch. It's so sad to say that about Crunchyroll because Crunchyroll is awful. It's such an awful company. But High Dive is even worse. Uh, they have such horrible localizers and English translators for High Dive. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's like there's so many like localizers that I don't understand why they learn Japanese. It's like they hate anime and they want to change it, but yet they went through the entire process, like years. It takes years to get fluent in Japanese. It's not something you can do in like 2 years. You can get to a good conversational level in like 2 years, but you're not going to be able to like translate within 2 years. Not effectively anyway, not without looking up a lot. It'd be really hard to translate. But they put all this time into learning this very complex and difficult language that's very difficult for an English speaker to learn. And yet they decide, all right, I want to insert my politics. I want to make these changes. I want to insert horrible slang that's going to be outdated in like a couple years. They want to insert recent pop cultural references that make no sense. And they're still doing this. They're doing this not even in the dubs. The dubs are way worse than the subs, but they're still doing this in the subs. It's really unfortunate. But yeah, I think a lot of translators a lot of the English translators are either uh, they want to be activists. Like you can go to their Twitter handles and stuff, and they'll actually put in their like profiles, like their bios. It's like activist, translator, stuff like that. And it's not just translators and localizers, unfortunately, because there are actual like animators and people like in the industry. Like there's a there's a white guy animator that works for Toy Animation. He works for Toy Animation, and he has in his profile, my views like posted here does not reflect Toy Animation because he's an extreme far leftist and activist. So it's like I don't understand why they get into the fields of anime. It's like they want to get in and change it. What they really want to do is they want to ruin it like they did comics. Comics has been horrible for years. It did have a slight resurgence with like the DC universe back in 2016, I think is when that started, and it was I actually liked some of those like stories they had back then, but it's just so awful, so awful. Comics are bad. But yeah, we're finishing out this getting away from like localization because I swear I can talk. I have a friend I meet up with. He's actually the one that went in. He cosplayed as Shaltier. Well, unfortunately, with you going to Artist Alley, there's a chance you're supporting like piracy and stuff because with the American Artist Alleys, a lot of them just pirate and print off like their own stuff. They steal a lot of stuff, and I've noticed like this past year, there's been a lot of like AI artists that literally just um, steal artwork and make it as if they were the people that made the artwork. I forget who it was. There was an AI artist booth that was basically selling prints of AI art of Sakimi-chan's art. I believe that's her name or his name. Pretty sure it's a her, but she's like a really popular hentai plus regular artist. Um, like really, really popular. I believe her name is Sakimi-chan. I don't follow her, but she's like incredibly popular. I'm pretty sure it's a her. But yeah, yeah. If you're buying like posters and prints from like artist alleys and like dealer rooms and stuff, there's a pretty big chance that a lot of those are either AI art or just prints stolen from other people. It's like unless you can verify for sure that that person is actually an artist and they've made the content that they're selling. Because a lot of the American anime conventions, they don't vet their artist alleys. They don't check to make sure they're the legit. They don't check to make sure that the dealer rooms are not bootleg free. You have to be really cautious about American anime conventions because there's a lot of bootlegs, a lot of sellers like selling stuff that aren't theirs, and yeah, it's pretty rough. you need to be sure of what you're looking out for, like in American anime conventions. You need to know how to spot like bootleg figures for sure. If you buy any poster in like the dealer rooms, basically they're going to be prints that are basically stolen. They're not official posters. The wall scrolls are almost always like bootleg. It's like I have quite a few of them myself. It's like I'm aware that they're bootlegs, but getting the real stuff is difficult. Um, Especially the stuff from Japan. There's such low print runs for things, and it costs a lot of bit even if you can find the stuff. The only thing you can find abundantly here in Japan, at least while you're shopping here, is manga. You don't really have a hard time finding manga, though. It did take me quite a while to find Shijo Saikin Nadesh Kenichi Volume 61. History Strongest Disciple Kenichi 61, the final volume. That one took me a long time to find. I was determined to find that one like in person. I could have bought it probably off of Mandarake, like used, but I wanted to find it like in person, and it took me quite a while to find that. But for the most part, like all of your Shueisha stuff, all of your Jump stuff, like all of that you can find pretty abundantly. The smaller publishers are kind of hard to find. Like if you're trying to find Freezing, that's one that I've looked out for. But it's like those are almost never in bundles, so it might be better to like eBay stuff like that from like the smaller publishers. Oh yeah, what was I going to talk about? I don't know what these are. I always like getting random like snacks from Combini. It's supposed to be like corn and soy sauce flavored chips. You know something that's strange? I think my taste for Japanese food has been changing over the years. Because I remember it was either 2018 or 2019 I got some seaweed flavored potato chips. I remember hating them. But on this trip, I decided to try some again for the first time in like 5 or 6 years. And I really enjoyed the chips. I really enjoyed seaweed flavored chips. It was very strange because I remember pretty clearly that I did not like seaweed potato chips. But for some reason, I like them now. I also got some strawberry cookies and this chocolate donut. All of this stuff to snack on through the night, because it's still pretty early. Honestly, it's 7:35 here in Tokyo right now. But I actually have like blood blisters on my feet, like blisters filled with blood. So I am very sore and do not feel like walking a lot more. I've been running quite a bit because I'm actually really close to Shinjuku Shore Park. And they have a 1.1 kilometer loop, so I just run around that like 5 times to get a 5K in. And I've been doing that at night sometimes after walking all day, which is probably not the best idea, but I've been doing that. And I noticed today, after 2 days at Comiket, that I actually have like blood-filled blisters. So, and I don't have any antiseptic or antibiotics on me, and not really sure what those would look like if I went to a Kusuri store. So probably going to wait until I get back home to bust those. I don't want to have some like open wounds. I was actually planning to go back to the ocean again and swim, but if I'm going to have like some open wounds, that's like I don't really want to do that. Guess I can reply back. Sure, I won't reply back in chat because I think there's a delay in the stream, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know what antiseptic look like here. There's like a, it's not a pharmacy, but what is it? It's a Kusuri store. Kusuri means medicine, but it's like down the road from me, so I could probably get something there for it, like buy some bandages, buy some Neosporin, but I'd have to look up what those look like in Japanese because I don't know how to read those in Japanese, and none of the labels are going to be in English. It's like the first time that I bought condoms, like in Japan, it's like I had to Google like what the brands look like because I had no idea. My day is going well, thank you. Unfortunately, I am very sunburned. Yeah, I could ask for help. I could ask them for help, but if I don't know the words for like antiseptic in Japanese, I would need to look that up as well. I would definitely need to. I'd have to look up quite a bit of. Like I could ask where something is, but I would have to look up like the words for it because I don't know what antiseptic or nail sporn, what those would be in Japanese. I don't know those words in Japanese, but it could be possible. I could look for it, but I don't really want to pop them right now because I only have like a few days left here. So I'll be going back relatively soon. I have like 3 or 4 days left here, so it's not too bad. I don't really have any more plans for the trip though. The girl I met it with yesterday after Comiket, she told me to go and do the what is it? It's something planet here in it's like down in Odaiba. What is it? Project Lab Planet. Oh, Team Lab Planets. She told me to go and do that. So I might try to go and do that. I'm not sure. I'm not too interested. Like a lot of the like heavily like tourist things. What's my top? It's really hard to narrow down a top three off the top of my head. Um, because it gets really difficult to compare whenever you're like it's like I really like certain shoujos, I really like certain shonens, I really like certain seinen, really like certain rom-coms. So it's like really hard to compare series that are incredibly vastly different. Um, to pick like an overall winner. If I like my two go to whenever someone asks me like what my favorite manga is, usually I will say something like One Piece or Hunter x Hunter. Um, I know they're generic, like it's those are incredibly safe picks, but One Piece, especially like the manga, like the anime has a lot of content left out compared to the manga. But if you read the manga, read all the SBSs and read all the cover stories and stuff, One Piece is so vast. The world is, so it's really hard to compare any. It's unlike any other manga for sure. Also, my top three will change. It's hard to change from like if I'm judging by like all time or like current. Um, for current, it's like I don't know, like Rent a Girlfriend. A lot of the stuff I read, which I don't read a whole lot anymore. Unfortunately, I need to get back to reading more, but it takes time. But like Kanojo Karashimasu, Rent a Girlfriend is definitely one that's pretty high up there. I mostly just watch more anime now, unfortunately. Oh yeah, it's like the girl that I was with yesterday. She asked me if I like anime, and I was like, "Sure, I like anime." And she was like, "What's your favorite like anime, manga, or whatever?" And I was just like, "I don't know, Bleach." I was like, "Bleach, I guess." It's like you asked me this stuff on the spot. It's like hard to name out. And then I was like, I asked her what like her favorite anime and manga was, and it's like she was like, "Oh, good question." She had to think about it a bit too, but she ended up saying, "What did she say?" I wanted the main one we talked about that she mentioned was Dorohedoro. I think that's right. It's only two, yeah, Dorohedoro. Uh, the one by creator of Maken X, I believe was her first series. It's by a female mangaka. I do know that. I believe her first series was Maken X because there's like a Dreamcast game that I have based off of that. What music do I like? Um, Everything. um, recently, I've been listening to Akon. So, um, for music, I would say power metal is my favorite genre. Sabaton, Powerwolf, uh, Zandel, stuff like that, like power metal, Ramstein. Uh, that's probably my favorite overall genre, but it's like I listen to everything, uh, everything from reggae to classical. Um, really enjoy like early and mid 2000s hip hop and rap because that's what I grew up with, which is why I've been listening to Akon recently. I've been listening to a lot of his music again. Uh, but as far as like Japanese music, I'd say Bandmate, Necrai Talkie, Baby Metal. Um, what's their name? What's the name? Aqua Times, High and Mighty Color, stuff like that. Honestly, whenever I came to Japan, it was either the May or the November trip. All of the stores was playing the Jujutsu Kaisen opening two. I believe it was the season two opening. It's like the You're So Special, like that opening. All of the stores was playing that. It was so annoying because I do not like that opening at all. It annoys me so much, and all of the stores here was playing it, and it was so annoying. Um, but as far as music that I hear, a lot of the stores honestly play American music, like English music. Quite a few of them just play English music, which doesn't make much sense because very, very few Japanese people speak Japanese or even understand Japanese. They're just listening to like the beats, but a lot of the stores here play English, like American music. What is popular in Japan right now? It's hard to say, honestly. I haven't spent a lot of time during this trip. I haven't spent a lot of time like in Akihabara. I still haven't been to Ikebukuro again. I need to get back out there to search the book offs. Um, I know last May, like one of the really popular things here was Windbreaker, and of course Demon Slayer is always popular because it was airing at the time. But as far as what's popular right now for like anime and manga, I'm not really sure honestly. I haven't been hanging out, I guess, in like the otaku areas a whole lot, unfortunately, or I guess fortunately because I've just been doing other things. Yeah, anime themes are well, anime themes are real music. They're actually like real bands like Aqua Times and High Mighty Color. Are most of them are like real bands that have a lot of music outside of anime openings. What do I like doing in Japan? I like walking around. I just enjoy being here, which does it destroys my body and it's very brutal. And I always come back with lots of blisters and very sore. But I enjoy walking around the most and being around Japanese people. I like to get outside of the tourist areas. Like I don't spend a lot of time in. Well, I enjoy being in Akihabara and Shibuya, but honestly, I spend quite a bit of time outside of like the tourist areas. Like in those cities, like in Akihabara or Shibuya, you can go like three or four streets over in either like direction, and there will be like no foreigners. But if you're on like the main strip, the main like two or three roads, like in those cities, well, in those areas, there will be a lot of foreigners, especially like late afternoon and into the early night. There's so many foreigners, but if you go outside of that, there's not a lot of foreigners. But for what I like doing, if I go to like anime events, um, if there's any type of anime event, which this time I don't know of any anime events that are going on outside of Comiket, but I go to those. Um, I like going to new cities. I like going to new areas of Tokyo and outside of Tokyo. But I really enjoy being like in Tokyo the most. Um, I do travel outside of it, but it's very convenient being in Tokyo, so I really like it here. Well, Australia is very close to Japan. It takes me about 20 hours of travel from where I live to get to Tokyo. From the moment I leave my house to getting to the hotel in Tokyo, it takes me about 20 hours of travel. So you're quite a bit closer than I am. So yeah. But yeah, there is no bookshops where I live. We have a Books a Million where I live, but I don't buy English manga anymore. I wish we had a Kinokuniya closer, but the nearest Kinokuniya to where I live is like 9 hours away in Chicago, so there's no way. The English market, as far as what is airing on whatever is airing on stream, and unless it's Netflix, because Netflix sometimes holds anime back for bundles, and they'll release batches of episodes. But we have almost like simulcast for most of the anime, so we're up to date on anime. As far as physical releases in America, we're usually at least around a year behind for a lot of the releases compared to what's coming out in Japan. Um, but yeah, we're pretty much caught up. Um, they've been doing a better job of keeping caught up with things, but uh, if you read like what is the English like Shonen Jump? Uh, is that it? Because it was like Shonen Jump Alpha is what they had for a while, so I um, don't really know what it is now because I don't read manga online. I just import my manga from Japan, and that's how I read manga. Now I have been considering like getting a Kindle and linking it to my Amazon Japan account and getting like digital Japanese manga to read. And that way I can use like Yomi-chan to look up words and stuff and make it easier to read. How did I get into anime? Um, Probably the late '90s. Late '90s is when I got into it, if you want to count that. It would have been like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z. In the late '90s is when I got into anime, but I didn't know those was anime at the time. There's also some other things that I watched. There's this old toy animation film called Wee Wendy. We had that on VHS. I watched that quite a bit. That's an anime film. There's another one called Alakazam the Great, which is an anime film from the '60s that we had on VHS whenever I was a kid, and I really enjoyed watching that. But I didn't know any of those was anime. I didn't actively know what I was watching was anime until like the early 2000s, like 2006, sometime around there. And that's around the time I got into Bleach and Naruto, and I found out about those and got into those through friends from like skateboarding. I have some really close friends. They're like brothers, they're like relatives. I treat them like brothers. We call each other brother. And they were basically the ones that got me into what you would call anime that I actively knew I was watching anime. If we do not count like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, the stuff that you watch as a kid that you don't know is anime. But yeah, that's how I got into anime is from skateboarding friends, pretty much. And here we are, 20 years later of collecting and massive collection that I might be selling off for when I move to Japan. So yeah, I spent all these years collecting all these English anime and manga that I might get rid of. I was actually pricing. You can watch all those. Those, I think, I'm pretty sure all of those have fan translations online, so you can just find them online. I definitely wouldn't recommend like importing them, because buying Japanese anime is very expensive, and it's very hard to find exactly what you're looking for because well, there might be more of the older stuff like Doctor Slump, like you mentioned, but a lot of the newer stuff, like I've been trying to find the Rent a Girlfriend. I've been trying to find some bundles of like season 1, 2, and 3 of that. Uh, yeah, I've been trying to find seasons of those like in bundles at some of the stores to buy like physically to own like the Rent a Girlfriend anime, and it's so hard to find. It's basically impossible to find because they have such low print runs of like modern anime. It's really hard to collect unless you like pre-order the Blu-rays before they come out. But the older stuff you might be able to find. You might want to try like Yahoo auctions or try Mandarake. Mandarake is a big one. Definitely Mandarake for sure. You want to search. You can search the titles in English and Japanese both, because there's no like uniform way that they do their listings. Sometimes they will list the stuff in English. Sometimes they will list it in Japanese. So you'll just have to toy with the with how you do the search, and you'll get different results on Mandarake. But that's definitely a good way to buy stuff from overseas for sure, like used stuff anyway. And they're really good about having some older stuff though I haven't been able to get everything I've been looking for through them, unfortunately. Yeah, Doctor Slump. Mm, I don't think anyone brought that over. Pretty sure they didn't. But yeah, you can find like if you search the right places online, you can find torrents for like almost every anime ever made, basically, and especially those the ones you mentioned are kind of popular ones or would have been popular at the time. Jushin Thunder Liar, he's incredibly famous over here. Dragonar, um, that's relatively modern. If it's the one that I'm thinking of, it would have been like mid early 2000s, I think. And then Doctor Slump was obviously very popular, so I'm sure you could find them if you like search hard enough. Just using like Mandarake and stuff. What's your star sign? I don't know. Is it a Taurus? I think it's a Taurus. I don't really know the star signs. I think I'm a Taurus though. Which works for me, because Lucy Taurus Star Dress is the best one by far, and I'm happy I have that figure. There was a new Doctor Slump anime. Let me Google this right quick. When did that happen? Let's see here. We have 97. Yeah, I knew it had a long run in anime from the 80s because anime was basically always weekly back then and had so much filler. Is there a Netflix Doctor Slump anime? When did that happen? Oh, I don't feel like searching that up right now. Uh, yeah, if you're talking about like Doctor Slump getting a an American release, if it came out on Netflix, like I did just a quick Google search, um, and one of the first things that came up was like uh, one is like on Daily Motion Netflix English sub. Yeah, basically like Netflix like basically relegates it to being. Oh, you're talking about the '90s. They made a new Doctor Slump. I thought you was talking about recent, because that for some reason on Daily Motion it came up with something for uh, Doctor Slump like Netflix, which was weird. But if Netflix gets a series, it's basically never going to get a physical release, unfortunately. They seem to really enjoy holding the rights and not giving a physical release or physical distribution to anime that they get. So that's really unfortunate. Yeah, I don't know what that star sign is. I don't keep up with star signs. I couldn't even tell you what a Taurus sign is. I couldn't list all the star signs, honestly. What do I like collecting? I like collecting dojin. I like collecting manga. Um, Anime I would like collecting more, but it's very expensive. It's expensive for me to because I don't buy English anime anymore, and Japanese anime is way more expensive than English anime. Like I spend between like $70 to $90 for two anime episodes whenever I pre-order them off Amazon, um, which I have done with Ayakashi Triangle, My Dress Up Darling, and what's this new one that I'm working on? Hyakano, the 100 Girlfriends That Really, Really, Really Like You. I've been, uh, well, I have all of those pre-ordered, and the final Blu-ray comes out this month, I think. Pretty sure it's this month. But as far as what I like collecting, a little bit of everything: anime, manga, video games. I used to really enjoy collecting video games, but right now I'm really considering selling off most of my video game collection because I'm never gonna play them all, and I'm planning to move to Japan, and I really cannot afford to bring my full collection over here. Yeah, that's one of the things I really like doing was finding and watching old anime that I missed out on when I was a kid. Like Zatch Bell, that's one that I missed out on whenever I was younger. That I bought like the anime single DVDs for. I was working on those. I think I bought them all. Um, but yeah, those are so cheesy and so bad because it's like for kids. But they're still fun to go back and watch. And like stuff like Flame of Recca is another one that I really enjoyed watching. Whenever Eastern Star did a full release of that. When you were on your host, 1000 Manga. Yeah, 1000 Manga. That was like over 10 years ago. We're like over 4,000 manga now. We're somewhere, I'm pretty sure it's like, I think I've passed 4,000. I'm not sure because I stopped collecting years ago. And every time I've tried to start counting again, like whenever I start counting my manga again in my room, it's like I'll make it to like 2, 3,000. And I am so bored and tired of counting like manga that I stop. Though I do really need to do an official count to see what I have because I think it's over 4,000 at this point. Um, but yeah, it got boring. Like hitting your first 1,000, like that's a big milestone. I really enjoyed hitting 1,000. Then it was like 2,000. Then you get to 3,000, and it's like manga doesn't really have meaning as far as like the collection count because there are some like Japanese manga collectors that can destroy your collection no matter how big it is. There's there's some Japanese YouTubers that I watch that have incredibly big manga collections. Like it's insane. But it totally makes sense because if you're living in Japan, like if you live in the Tokyo area and you somehow have enough money to like own a house that's like big enough or an apartment that's big enough to house like your collection, like that's the most difficult thing about having a massive collection in Tokyo is being able to afford the space to store it. But if you can afford the space to store it, you can amass an incredibly big collection for incredibly cheap. You're talking, you can get hundreds and hundreds of manga for like less than $1, like way less than $1. You can go to the 100 yen sections of stores and just rack up, or you can just get the bundles for like less than $1 a volume. It's really insane. Like, if whenever I move here, if I sell off like my collection before I move here, I will be able to get my collection back like pretty fast. The Japanese counterparts, anyway. Um, Given I'm able to have like a house or an apartment big enough to store it, it's like you'll be able to get an incredibly massive manga collection in Tokyo as long as you have the space to store it. Well, manga in Australia and America is like more expensive now because so many of the publishers only do omnibus versions of their manga. That's one of the reasons I stopped buying English manga, is because uh, I saw them making the transition to just doing omnibus, and I don't like omnibus at all. I noticed them start doing that. Plus, Japanese manga is way cheaper. It's way easier to collect. So, yeah. Plus, they're nicer. It's like a lot of the times they'll have like extra content. They'll have like posters in them. They'll have illustrations on the underside of the dust covers that we don't get in the States. They'll have on the cover under the dust cover, they'll have different illustrations that we sometimes don't get. There's just a lot of content that's they usually leave out in the States. Plus the omnibus transition and how ununiform the manga is very annoying. Like all the publishers there, especially since they started doing like omnibus only, all of the manga is just like so many different sizes and height and width and length. It's really annoying to fit them all on your shelf. Whereas like in Japan, for your shonen manga, shonen, shoujo, stuff like that, they basically only come in like two sizes. You have the Shueisha volumes and you have the Kodansha comics volumes, and they're almost the exact same size. The seinen manga are a little bit bigger, but they're basically all the same size. Japanese manga are very consistent in what their size is, whereas like in America, like your English manga are just so they're so varied in size, and it's really annoying to store them. And they have such a wide range of prices too. It's very very expensive to be a manga collector now. I don't know what English manga costs now, but whenever I was collecting Jump, like your Jump stuff, your One Piece stuff, it was like $9.99, and your Yen Plus or Yen Press, Kodansha Comics USA, stuff like that was anywhere from like $11.99 all the way up to like 13, 14.99 US dollar, and that's just for the singles. The single volumes, the omnibuses would obviously be quite a bit more. Yeah, reading in Japanese, uh, the your shonen stuff, your shoujo stuff, those are pretty easy to read in Japanese. It gets very difficult whenever you get to like the seinen stuff, um, like your Bleach, your Naruto, your One Piece, all the stuff in Jump. They have furigana, which means it has hiragana beside the kanji. So even if you don't know how the kanji is read, you're able to read it anyway. That way you can actually look up the words. Whereas you're saying and stuff, like if you were to try to read Berserk or something that's pretty difficult to read, um, it would be in kanji without furigana, so that would make it a lot more difficult to read. Oh. But yeah, it's like there's no time to start the now. It's like I didn't start learning Japanese until I'd base. I think I was almost 30 or I was 30 whenever I started actively learning Japanese and trying to learn it. And I'm 30 now, but there's been a few times where I've had to start and stop learning Japanese. There's been some times where I've gotten really busy with college, like in fall semester last year and spring semester this year. I got really busy with college and I wasn't able to keep up like my Japanese studies, so I've just been maintaining kind of the base level that I've been at. But right now I'm actively progressing my level again finally. So I'm able to learn more words and read easier and watch anime in Japanese, which that's the goal. I want to be able to watch Japanese anime with no English subtitles and fully understand everything that's going on, because right now I only understand maybe around like 20-30% of most anime that I watch. Some of them I understand more, some of them I understand less, but roughly around 20-30%. I'm able to kind of follow along what's going on, but it's difficult without having Japanese subtitles, because I watch on Crunchyroll in Japanese with no subtitles. But if I had Japanese subtitles, that would make it easier, because I would be able to read and understand through seeing the kanji, even if I didn't fully hear and be able to parse all the words in my mind. I would be able to understand it more, but I would need a VPN and like Netflix in Japan, and I don't have Netflix, so I'm not able to have Japanese subtitles. I'm actually 31. Yes, I am quite old. I've been making YouTube videos since 2018, and I was like 14, 15. Maybe I was 15, 16 at that time. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but I was pretty old already then. No, I think I was either 14 or 15, I think, whenever I started YouTube back in 2018. Yeah, pretty old for getting into college and changing careers and deciding that you wanted to move to Japan. I would look better if I wasn't incredibly sunburned. All of the jobs that I start, everyone thinks I'm like 20 or 21 years old. And they learn how old I am and they are amazed. For some reason, I'm able to wear my age incredibly well. I don't know why. It's a really strange whenever you get older. Because in my early and late teens, I've always been tall. So whenever I was like really young, like early and mid teens, everyone thought I was like late teens and 20s, which was really strange, because I was like taller than everyone else. But I'm just like a bit over average height. I basically stopped growing in height whenever I was like 15, 16 years old. So everyone thought I was older than what I was whenever I was young. But now that I'm old, everyone thinks I'm younger than what I am. So it's very strange. Been through a lot of jobs and a lot of careers, and it's very strange to decide in your 30s that, hey, I'm gonna go to college, finally get a degree, and move to Japan. But that's what we're working on now, so we're just gonna go with it. But anyway, thanks for watching and having the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video now, because it is it's 8:11 here in Tokyo right now, so I need to get ready and get to bed and decide what I'm gonna do the rest of the week, because I don't have any plans at the moment. All I really wanted to do was Comiket, and I did that for both days, and very tired from that. I need to do laundry tomorrow, so yeah, I will see you guys later. I will probably try to stream tomorrow night or the night after. I'm not sure. I will decide if I'm going to go out and do some shopping, if I buy anything cool or not. But I'm gonna have to see if I have any room in my luggage, because after all the dojin I bought, may not have much room left or any room left to buy anything new. So yeah, I will see you guys later.